guys. Okay, let's see where we left off. Do you remember? Who's the character we're learning about? Miggery-Sow, that's right. And she made it to the castle with all her hopes and dreams. Let's see what happens next. Chapter 29, start with the kersey and finish with the thread. Miggery-Sow's luck continued. On her first day on the job as a castle servant, she was sent to deliver a spool of red thread to the princess. Mind, said the head of the serving staff, a dour woman named Louise. She is royalty, so you must make sure you curtsy. How's that? Shouted Mig. You must curtsy, shouted Louise. Gore, said Mig. Yes'm. She took the spool of thread from Louise and made her way up the golden stairs to the princess's room, talking to herself as she went. Here I am, off to see the princess. Me, Miggery-Sow, seeing the princess up close and person-like. And first off, I must kersey, because she is the royalty. At the door to the princess's room, Mig had a sudden crisis of confidence. She stood a moment, clutching the spool of thread and muttering to herself. Now, how did that go? She said. Give the princess the thread and then give her a kersey. No, first the kersey and then the thread. That's it. Gore, that's right. That's the order. Start with the kersey and finish with the thread. She's saying kersey. Is that the right word? Or is she missing a letter? Curtsy, right. She's missing the T in there in the curtsy. She's saying kersey because she doesn't hear so well, huh? Poor Miggery-Sow. She knocked at the princess's door. Enter, said the P. Mig, hearing nothing, knocked again. Enter, said the P. And Mig, still hearing nothing, knocked yet again. Maybe, she said to herself, the princess ain't to home. But then the door was flung wide and there was the princess herself, staring right at Miggery-Sow. Gore, said Mig, her mouth hanging open. Hello, said the P. Are you the new serving maid? Have you brought me my thread? Kersey I must, said Mig. She gathered her skirts, dropped the spool of thread, stuck a foot out, and stepped on the spool, rocked back and forth for what seemed like quite a long time, both to the watching princess and the rocking Mig, and finally fell to the floor with a miggish thud. Whoopsie, said Miggery-Sow. The P could not help it. She laughed. That's all right, she said to Mig, shaking her head. It's the spirit of the thing that counts. How's that? Shouted Mig. It's the spirit of the thing that counts, shouted P. Thank you, miss, said Mig. She slowly got to her feet. She looked at the princess. She looked down at the floor. First the kersey and then the thread, Mig muttered. Pardon, said the P. Gore, said Mig, the thread. She dropped to her hands and knees to locate the spool of thread. When she found it, she stood back up and offered it to P. I brought you your thread, didn't I? Here's a picture. Whoopsie, said Miggery-Sow. Here, I'm going to get up close to the camera to show it to you. Whoopsie. See Miggery-Sow falling? Silly girl. She was trying so hard. She was working so hard to do a new hard thing, huh? Lovely, said the princess as she took the thread from Mig. Thank you so much. I cannot seem to hold on to a spool of red thread. Every one I have disappears somehow. Do you know how? Do you remember Despereaux And when he was sent to the dungeon, what did he have around his neck? I'm suspicious of the little mice, Are you making a thing? Asks Mig, squinting at the cloth in the pea's hand. I am making a history of the world, my world, said the pea, in tapestry. See, here is my father, the king, and he is playing the guitar because that is something he loves to do and does quite well. And here is my mother, the queen, and she is eating soup because she loved soup. Soup, gore, that's against the law. Yes, said the princess, my father outlawed it because my mother died while she was eating it. Your ma's dead? Yes, said the pea, she died just last month. She bit her bottom lip to stop it from trembling. She went, ain't that the thing, said Mig. My ma's dead too. How old were you when she died? Bold, was I? Said Mig, taking a step back, away from the princess. I'm sorry then. No, how old were you? Shouted the pea. No, but 6, said Mig. I'm sorry, said the princess. She gave Mig a quick, deep look of sympathy. How old are you now? 12 years. So am I, said the princess. We're the same age. What is your name? She shouted. Miggery Sow, but most just call me Mig. And I saw you once before, princess. You passed me by on a little white horse. On my birthday it was, and I was in the field with uncle's sheep, and it was sunset time. Did I wave to you? Said the princess. Eh? Did I wave? Shouted the pea. Yes, nodded Mig. But you didn't wave back, said the princess. I did, said Mig, only you didn't see. Someday I will sit on a little white horse and wear a crown and wave. Someday. Oh, said Mig, and she put up a hand to touch her left ear. I will be a princess too. Really, said the pea, and she gave Mig another quick, deep look, but said nothing else. Bye, Eduardo. Adios. Sorry, that was, our custodian was leaving for the day. Anyway, back to the story. When Mig finally made her way back down the golden stairs, Louise was waiting for her. How long, she roared, did it take you to deliver a spool of thread to the princess? Too long? Guessed Mig. That's right, said Louise, and she gave Mig a good clout to the ear. Oh, you are not destined to be one of our star servants. That is already abundantly clear. No, ma'am, said Mig. That's all right, though, because I aim to be a princess. You? A princess? Don't make me laugh. This, reader, was a little joke on Louise's part, as she was not a person who laughed. Ever. Not even at a notion as ridiculous as Miggery Sow becoming a princess. That was kind of a fun chapter, I thought. The princess and Miggery Sow meeting. Okay, chapter 30, to the dungeon. Well, we're moving along. Let's see where we go now. To the dungeon. At the castle, for the first time in her young life, Mig had enough to eat. And eat she did. She quickly became plump, and then plumper still. She grew rounder and bigger, only her head stayed small. Reader, as the teller of this tale, it is my duty from time to utter some hard and rather disagreeable truths. In the spirit of honesty, then, I must inform you that Mig was the tiniest bit lazy. And two, she was not the sharpest knife in the drawer. That is, she was a bit slow-witted. Because of these shortcomings, Louise was hard-pressed to find a job that Miggery Sow could effectively perform. In quick succession, Mig failed as a lady-in-waiting. She was caught trying on the gown of a visiting duchess. A seamstress, she sewed the cloak of the riding master to her own frock and ruined both. And as a chambermaid, sent to clean a room, she stood open-mouthed and delighted, admiring the gold walls and floors and tapestries, exclaiming over and over again, "Gor, ain't it pretty? Gor, ain't it something then?" and did no cleaning at all. And while Mig was trying and failing at these many domestic chores, other important things were happening in the castle. The rat in the dungeon below was pacing and muttering in the darkness, waiting to take his revenge on the princess. And upstairs in the castle, the princess had met a mouse, and the mouse had fallen in love with her. Will there be consequences? You bet. Just as Mig's inability to perform any job well had its consequences, for finally, as a last resort, Louise sent Mig to the kitchen, where Cook had a reputation for dealing effectively with difficult help. In Cook's kitchen, Mig dropped eggshells in the pound cake batter. She scrubbed the kitchen floor with cooking oil instead of cleanser. She sneezed directly on the king's pork chop moments before it was to be served to him. "Of all the good-for-nothings I have encountered," shouted Cook, "surely you are the worst, the most cauliflower-eared, the good-for-nothingest. There's only one place left for you, the dungeon." "Eh?" said Meg, cupping a hand around her ear. "You are being sent to the dungeon. You are to take the jailer his noonday meal. This will be your duty from now on." Reader, you know that the mice of the castle feared the dungeon. Must I tell you that the humans feared it too? Certainly, it was never far from their thoughts. In the warm months, a foul odor rose out of its dark depths and permeated the whole of the castle. And in the still, cold nights of winter, terrible howls issued from the dark place, as if the castle itself were weeping and moaning. "It's only the wind," the people of the castle assured each other, "nothing but the wind." Many a serving girl had been sent to the dungeon bearing the jailer's meal, only to return white-faced and weeping, hands trembling, teeth chattering, insisting that they would never go back. And worse, there were whispered stories of those servant girls who had been given the job of feeding the jailer, who had gone down the stairs and into the dungeon, and who had never been seen or heard from again. Do you believe that this will be Mig's fate? Gor, I hope not. What kind of a story would this be without Mig? "Listen, you cauliflower-eared fool," shouted Cook. "This is what you do. You take the tray of food down to the dungeon, and you wait for the old man to eat the food, and then you bring the tray back up. Do you think you can manage that?" "I reckon so," said Mig. "I take the old man the tray, and he eats what's on it, and then I bring the tray back up. Empty it would be then. I bring the empty tray back from the deep downs." "That's right," said Cook. "Seems simple, don't it? But I'm sure you'll find a way to bungle it." "Eh?" said Meg. "Nothing," said Cook. "Good luck to you. You'll be needing it." She watched as Mig descended the dungeon stairs. They were the very same stairs, reader, that the mouse Despereaux had been pushed down the day before. Now, I'm about to finish the chapter, but the time's about to run out on the video, so I'm gonna regroup tomorrow in our reading, okay? We'll pick up with Mig going down to the dungeon. See you then.